Hello, hi, welcome to GMA Talk, your most beloved, your most awesome, your most talk show right here on YouTube and all your favorite social media platform, GMA Talk, with your host, yours truly, Gerard Mutabazi Amani. Thank you very much for joining us this week on yet another update, another highlight, another call to action on what is happening with refugees and about refugees here in Canada and around the world. So, first of all, please, begging you, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please subscribe, please like the videos, please comment, please watch, please share. Please continuously support and continuously be informed and continuously be inspired and called to action about helping refugees and caring for refugees in your communities and around the world. So this week we want to highlight on what has transpired in Colombia. So Colombia recently, on February 8, the Colombia government introduced what is known as temporary protection status. And this temporary protection status will ensure the protection of Venezuelan migrant and refugees who are currently in Colombia and have been there in Colombia for a while as a result of political events in Venezuela, or even violent events or other events forcing people to run from their home as a result, whether it's employment, whether it's famine, whether it's political, whether it's conflict. And so it has resulted of thousands and millions of Venezuelans crossing into Colombia and as well as nearby and surrounding countries, and going as further into the region, seeking for shelter, seeking for safety, and as well as better life and better opportunities. And so with this temporary protection status, which will protect about 1.7 million Venezuelan refugees and migrants who are currently in Colombia. So this is a groundbreaking announcement and agreement which the UNHCR greatly welcomed and greatly congratulates Colombia for taking this great step forward in terms of ensuring Venezuelan refugees and migrants are protected in the country. And this will eventually allow people, or make available the means of people to seek employment, the means of people to live freely in the country, the means of people to seek education opportunities and seek in terms of healthcare services. And especially right now during the time of COVID-19, this will also eventually allow and provide for the access and opportunity for Venezuelan migrant and refugees also to have access to the vaccine in the country. So with this kind of action, really, it's especially right now where we're continuously seeing a heated debate and a heated conversation, and refugees and migrants being caught in a heated political conversation in terms of the protection of refugees. Now, with this groundbreaking action from the Colombia government in terms of protecting the migrants and refugees in the country who of Venezuelan origin, whether it's in North America, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in South America, whether it's in Asia, whether it's in Australia, really, we need governments around the world to really stop playing politics with people's life, to stop playing politics with refugees' life, and put forth meaningful action, meaningful commitment to ensure that refugees are protected, especially during these times and these challenging times where we see conflicts continuously rising, violence rising in the world, whether it's civil war, whether it's political reason, whether it's kidnapping, whether it's terrorism group. We have seen around the world really thousands and thousands of people fleeing every day, whether it's night, whether it's day, whether it's evening. Really, people fleeing and seeking for shelter, people fleeing and seeking safety in neighboring countries, and some risking their life even in the Mediterranean Sea to find safety and shelter in European countries. And we have seen how really Europe and the European Union continuously being this unity in terms of protecting migrants and refugees within its borders, and some of the countries not even wanting to take their fair share of the support in terms of caring for these vulnerable people. So what has happened really in Colombia can and should inspire all of us leaders from local level, provincial and state level, and federal and international level, and call everybody to action on further ensuring the protection and safety of refugees around the world, especially during this time where international borders for the most part continuously be on the lockdown, and the movement of people, the movement of refugees and resettlement of refugees continuously to move at a very slow pace, and at one time it was completely stopped. So, but war, persecution, conflicts, and everything that is causing people to run from their home, to flee for their lives, to flee for their safety, those kind of events, they are not stopping. But we have seen resettlement, uh, a resettlement initiative like stopping. We've seen support of refugees in some case, cutting back as the country is becoming more and more protective, and more we have seen political differences when it comes to protecting refugees, where else these are people who are running for safety, who running for their life, who wants to be helped and supported. So really we need to put and we need to encourage countries and people around the world to really push the government to really support refugees in all means possible, in all means and all capacity, to protect refugees' life instead of being torn here, being torn there, and being caught right in the middle. So thank you very much, the government of Colombia, to really taking this initiative and bringing in measures of temporary protection status, and which will go about 10 years, to really help and care and support Venezuelan refugees and migrants in the country, as some of them are establishing themselves, whether it's for temporary, whether it's for permanently, and as others are waiting for going and waiting for safely to be able to go back home and to the country. So, and speaking of this same agreement, as I also mentioned, will eventually allow refugee and migrants to have access to vaccine as a protection measures against the COVID-19. And right now, the UNHCR recently in January signed an agreement or memorandum of understanding with the Global Alliance when it comes to vaccination, because the UNHCR really want to ensure and want to push forward meaningful leadership and commitment around the world, that refugees will not be left behind when it comes to vaccination, because nobody is protected until all of us are protected. So we need to ensure that the rich countries and poor countries and all countries in between, everybody has a plan in place in order to vaccinate and care for refugees, whether it's within the border, regionally and internationally. This needs to happen to ensure that everybody um, from the COVID-19 and is protected and the measures are in place. And with that, in January, Jordan became the first country in the world to vaccinate refugees, to start rolling vaccination and making vaccine available for refugees, and they vaccinate a first refugee from Iraq who living in Jordan. So this is a very inspiring gesture. This is a very further call to action. Most of the time when it comes to strong and concrete action on refugees, always and most of the time that, it's the countries with the least, it's the country who needs help themselves, it's the country who are often overwhelmed with refugees influx in the border. It's often the countries who, even providing for their own population at times, it's very hard without international solidarity and humanitarian assistance. But it's also often these same countries who go over and beyond to protect refugees within the country, to offer them safety, to offer them shelter, to offer them food, to offer them clothing and other necessary opportunities to care for refugees in the country. And as with that, we have really witnessed yet another example of Jordan really going and over and beyond, including refugees as in parts of its rollout of vaccination in the country. So really big up and congratulations to Jordan for taking this measure, for taking this steps forward. And we really hope more and more countries around the world, and all countries around the world, will take upon the call from the UNHCR to ensure that refugees are protected with vaccine and continuous vaccination, which is rolling around the world, because nobody is protected unless all of us are protected, and that includes refugees. So we need to ensure, uh, as rich countries continuously vaccinating their people, and as poor country continuously struggling and suffering, and some of them don't even know when they're gonna start vaccinating their people. And often it's these same poor countries who host thousands and millions of refugees within their border. So we need to ensure that there is the plan to vaccinate these countries which are at disadvantage and cannot uh, afford to order large scale of vaccines from around the world. And we need to ensure that the current global vaccination alliance or compact, which is COVAX, that countries have access to vaccine as soon as possible, and that when these poor countries and otherwise developing countries have access to this vaccine, we need to ensure there's also a contingency plan to also vaccinate refugees in the countries and spread out the vaccination plan across refugees, because we need to ensure that vulnerable populations in the countries, including refugees, are also protected, including also internally displaced people, which also UNHCR is calling upon with the Memorandum of Understanding with the Global Vaccine Alliance. So really, this week, this month, and last month, we continuously to see at all level the countries, which even at times themselves they need support, standing in hand in solidarity with refugees and for refugees. And the two examples which I wanted to highlight on this week is GMA Talk, is in terms when it comes to Venezuelan refugees and migrants being protected in Colombia. So really amazing gesture, and great congratulations to Colombia government and officials, and UNHCR and all partners who really worked hard and came together to make this deal and this protection mechanism and this law to come into place. And this is the kind of leadership, this is the kind of action we need from countries and governments around the world. And then second, really big up and congratulations to Jordan on really vaccinating refugees and including refugees in your mechanism and plan in terms of vaccination in the country. And really, this is the kind of actions we need, and inspiring actions we need from countries around the world, because we all need to come out of this together and stronger. And that will only happen when refugees are included in the plans of vaccination. So with that being said, that it's on this week is GMA Talk. Please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment, and just continuously stay tuned right here on GMA Talk. Until next time, with yours truly, Gerard Mutabaziamani, love, peace, and unity. And remember, refugees are more than refugees. Stand with refugees, help refugees, support refugees in your countries, in your community, and around the world. Until next time, cheers.